So on February 9th of 2019, my younger brother, Willie McCoy, was asleep behind his wheel in his car in the drive-thru of a Taco Bell.
Sleep.
A call was made requesting a wellness check. What happened instead was 6 Vallejo police officers showed up and surrounded Willie's car for several minutes, casually conversing while plotting a way to create circumstances that they would then use to justify murdering him. 55 shots in 3.5 seconds.
Say that one more time.
55 shots in 3.5 seconds. The police murder of George Floyd seems to have opened up eyes and ears of people everywhere. Police brutality and unnecessary use of lethal force by police officers against black and brown people has been taking place for generations and in communities and neighborhoods all over the country.
That's right.
In Vallejo, the police do not discriminate when it comes to murdering, brutalizing, and intimidating its citizens. Vallejo police have killed with impunity 37 times in just over 2 decades. Leading the way for the VPD in assaulting the community is a group known as the Fatal 14. Over the course of 2 decades and over 200 use of force cases, this group of 14 individual VDP officers have been named in nearly every report. These officers have brutalized and terrorized countless other citizens, including my 21-year-old daughter, Diana. She was pulled over for a traffic stop by Vallejo police 2 months after her Uncle Willie's murder. Diana was grabbed, dragged, tased, and kidnapped before being taken to Solano County Jail. The DA immediately dropped VPD's phony charge. Or my relative, Adrian Burrell, who was assaulted by VPD officer David McLaughlin for simply standing on his own front porch and recording a traffic stop. Officer McLaughlin is also a member of Vallejo's Fatal 14. I'm asking you to listen. Listen to the families who have been directly impacted by Vallejo police violence. Listen to the family of Floyd Nehemiah Strong talk about how their loved one was ambushed and assassinated by VPD. Murdered in such a brutal fashion, there were various limbs hanging from his body. How Nehemiah's body was moved from the crime scene to an area 3 blocks away. Moved. The body was moved from the crime scene to an area 3 blocks away. Listen to the sisters and the family of Mario Romero. They have been telling their truth for years, with most of us not listening. Mario was executed by 2 of the more notorious killers the city of Vallejo has had on its payroll. Sean Kinney, 3 kills in 5 months, and Dustin Joseph, both members of Vallejo's Fatal 14. Mario was shot more than 50 times while sitting in his car smoking a cigarette. Officer Joseph reloaded his weapon and then jumped up on the hood of the car to unload a second clip. The level of harassment from VPD that this family has endured is unconscionable. Listen to the family of Angel Ramos. They've been in this fight for years. Listen close when they are speaking on Angel's behalf and sharing truth.
I'm the family of Oscar Grant. I'm the family of Oscar Grant. That's my cousin, Oscar
Fist
Grant.
fight between family members. More than a dozen VPD officers at the scene, yet only one officer saw what he thought was a knife. Only one officer saw something every other officer did not see. Only one officer, Zach Jacobson, drew his gun and opened fire, murdering Angel in front of his family. Officer Jacobson, also a member of the Fatal 14. The Ramos family is being harassed by VPD to this day. Listen up when the family of Ronell Foster speaks on Officer Ryan McMahon, who wanted to educate Ronell on bicycle safety. After chasing Ronell down, this VPD officer proceeded to use his taser and flashlight to assault Ronell. As Ronell put up his hands in defense to keep himself from being beaten to death, Officer McMahon took out his gun and shot Ronell multiple times, in the back and in the back of his head. Coincidentally, Officer McMahon, also a member of VPD's Fatal 14, took part in Willie's murder a year later. Listen to the family of Eric Reason when they speak for their lost loved one. Eric was murdered right here in Vallejo by an off-duty, suspended Richmond police officer, shot in the back from 30 yards away. The VPD officers in charge that night corrupted the crime scene as they allowed their brother in blue to roam freely, interact with VPD officers, and stand over Eric's body while taking pictures with his cell phone. Listen to the family of Sean Monterosa. They just buried their loved one a little over a week ago. On his knees, hands up, unarmed. Sean's fate, losing his life at the hands of VPD officer Jared Ton, another member of the Fatal 14 who had previously shot 3 people. Listen to the families impacted by Vallejo police violence tell their truths about their lost loved one. Listen to the families of Charles Lee Davis, Marwin Prado, Jose Ortiz, Jason Seabay. Listen to the families of Christopher Brown, Kevin LaRon Smith, Royland Tugad, Timoteo Diaz, and Andrew Washington. Listen to the families of Cesar Baggio, Otis Edward McPeters, Douglas Lawrence Hahn, Stephen Wilson Jr., Fontanoga Tilley Jr., and Charles Christopher Gordon. Listen to the stories shared by the families of Eric Thomas Walters, Michael Todd White, Guy Giroux Jr., Sherman Peacock, and Peter Messler. Listen to the truth about lives stolen by the VPD told by the families of Jared Huey, Marshall Tobin, Jeremiah Moore, William Heinz, Timothy Walker, Mohammed Nas, Eva Ramon Martinez, Philip Conley, and Jeffrey Barboa. Listen to the family of Anton Barrett Sr., murdered by Fatal 14 member Mark Thompson for holding a cell phone. It's 100% in court documents that this racist cop, Mark Thompson, after murdering Mr. Barrett, stood over his body, this is in court documents, and called Mr. Barrett nigger. Officer Thompson also participated in Willie's murder. The so-called high-profile cases are just a small drop of all the blood spilled at the hands of unlawful policing. There are countless victims of incidents that were swept under the rug and didn't receive any mention in news outlets. When he got here, I heard Chief Williams speak so optimistically about the future. He said he couldn't do anything about the past. Chief Williams, you could not be more wrong. Chief Williams, you have murderers, liars, and racists within your ranks. And one of your very first personnel moves was to promote Fatal 14 member Officer Darden from sergeant to lieutenant. Your officers use guns to kill, not chokeholds. Let us know when you ban something from your department that will make an impact, like ridding the community of your Fatal 14. Did you not know, Chief Williams, in the weeks before you arrived, the city council, minus Councilman McConnell, voted to take away your ability to drug test your officers? Were you not aware that in the months before your arrival, Chief Williams, that not only did Chief Boudreaux retire, but the city attorney and the internal affairs lieutenant also jumped off this burning ship? Chief Williams, sir, you appear to be in over your head.
What you gonna do now?
Police officers in Vallejo are simply not held accountable. Many of these officers have long histories of misconduct and multiple kills on their resumes, Yet, they are allowed to continue to patrol, control, and terrorize with no fear of consequences.
We ain't supposed to say nothing.
These officers have been empowered by its union and protected by its city government and the Solano County District Attorney's Office. The Vallejo City government and its police department's protocol is to protect the officer at all costs. Their press releases relating to police misconduct are disingenuous, misleading, and dishonest. As soon as one of their officers assault or murder someone, they immediately begin a campaign of victim blaming and presenting a criminal defense narrative with edited video, subtitles, and redacted reports. Why do you think the Vallejo Police Union doesn't want to release the name of the officer who murdered Sean Monterosa? We all know the shooter was Officer Jared Tom. It's because they do not want us to know the names of the other officers involved that night that were also put on internal affairs leave. These are the games that they play while they buy time to get their story straight. Getting to the truth does not matter. Putting out false narratives, delaying and manipulating reports and body cams is business as usual in this city. City Manager Nyoff, you have been adamant that you don't see a problem with your police using excessive force. Are you not aware that your department has the highest rate of shootings in Northern California and the third highest state in our state? Our state, California, which kills, its officer kills more people in our state than in any other state in this country. Mr. Nyoff, you are not blind or tone deaf. You simply do not care. Mayor Sam Payan and the entire Vallejo City Council, you are all complicit. By taking absolutely no action and remaining silent about Vallejo police violence, you have sold out the people you're supposed to be representing. Instead, choosing to refer to impacted families as the lunatic fringe. Vallejo's mayor and city council have seen the world's outrage over the murder of George Floyd. They realize police brutality is now a voting issue, so they feel compelled to speak on George Floyd and Breonna Taylor without ever acknowledging the victims of police murder in their own city. What has changed that would have Councilman Brown now ask for independent investigations, speaking on murders that he remained silent on previously?
Say it! Get it out! Get it all out! Because the mayor don't care about us.
Take your time, folks. Take your time, bro.
And the Vallejo Police Department sure don't care about us. Say it! Get it
So
out!
we're back on Mr. Brown.
There you go.
Why would he now ask for investigations into past VPD shootings that he stayed previously silent about? That's called flip-flopping.
There you go!
The Vallejo City Council have become political shapeshifters. Don't fall for it. These politicians with their secret agendas want to justify lawless policing by creating a funding problem narrative. Vote these disingenuous politicians out and look to identify candidates that will truly represent your voice. Mr. Nyoff, Mayor Sam Payan, and Vallejo City Council, you are and have been a major part of the problem. Eliminating the drug testing of your officers was a shameful decision. You all have acted criminally by being a support system for a police department that has regularly violated the civil and constitutional rights of its residents. You have yielded control of this city to Vallejo Police Union and its law-breaking officers. In doing so, you have participated in the cover-up of an ongoing criminal enterprise. Pastor Terrence Nichols, I want to thank you for reaching out to some of the families and providing us a platform to speak our truth. To the rest of the so-called black leadership groups of Vallejo, The police here have been murdering people for ages. Don't judge their victims and fall for the victim-blaming narratives. There are videos of Vallejo cops murdering people that are as reprehensible as the murder of George Floyd. Where have your voices been? How do you rally for a murdered man in another state, but you're quiet as church mice when it comes to the VPD murdering Angel, Rennell, and Willie? Are you political shapeshifters as well? NAACP of Vallejo, you can do better. You took the time to pen a letter to the Times Herald about Chief Boudreaux and what a great job he did with midnight basketball and coffee with cops, but you failed to mention the 6 murders his officers committed in his less than 5 years as chief. There is no program, banquet, or youth scholarship that deserves our attention more than police killing people. NAACP of Vallejo, you must do better. If they would just pull up their pants. If they would just listen. So does that deserve a death warrant?
No.
Stop stereotyping your own people as if they are not you.
Get it out.
Instead of Vallejo cops being judge, jury, and executioner, how about arresting someone and allowing them their due process?
Thank you.
Krista Abrams has been the Solano County District Attorney since 2014.
Oh my God.
She has never prosecuted a police officer for an officer-involved shooting.
Oh my God.
She consistently uses language in the law as an excuse not to prosecute when we all have eyes and can see. After receiving criticism, she removed the Blue Lives Matter flag from her Facebook page. Where's the transparency in that?
Hello.
Ms. Abrams has recused herself in Sean Monterosa's case due to the public perception that she's biased, and she's right. She has been complicit by her refusal to prosecute killer cops. She has been aiding and abetting murderous police, and she's got to go. She needs to recuse herself from all current police use of force cases and have an independent investigation of all past cases under her watch, now and beyond. Vote her out in 2022. Gotta vote her out in 2022. She ran unopposed last time. Assemblyman Grayson, we would like to acknowledge you being a man of your word. You showed empathy and compassion to impacted families while recognizing there is a serious problem with Vallejo's policing. You took action because you saw it was simply the right thing to do. You have shown to be transparent and not afraid to speak your truth. Thank you for that, Assemblyman Grayson. Attorney General Becerra, the people are watching. We asked you to come investigate Vallejo's police practices back on May 7th of 2019, and you refused. What has changed since then? The people will not be satisfied with you simply coming in and appearing to do an investigation of the pattern and practice of Vallejo policing. AG Becerra, if you truly intend to do a fair and just investigation, we expect you to share with the public the multitude of foul, illegal, and criminal acts that you will undoubtedly uncover, buried by a city government and its police union. Please do not try to pacify us with your investigation. We want to see officers and officials prosecuted and a federal monitor assigned. This city's police department is in need of a complete reform. Police will stop murdering people when they are given life in prison or death row, which is exactly what you or I would do. Let's educate ourselves on what qualified immunity for police officers is. Let's educate ourselves on the Police Officers' Bill of Rights. Those are the things that we have to focus on to make real change. The law should apply to everyone or no one at all. Thank you for listening.